Hi, my name is David Bernstein. Welcome to the exhibition performance exhibition of New Lovin here at Extra City. When I say performance exhibition, what I mean is I see the exhibition a bit like an instrument that can be played, it can be performed. And I will do that by telling you some stories, singing some songs, and guiding you through the space in 3 chapters. The performance will last roughly 30 minutes, and the time starts now. This past summer, I got married to my partner, and at our wedding, we had this cake stand that I made for the event. You have to imagine that it was full of sweets. You had baklava, pastéis de nata, tartelettes, grapes dripping over the edges, and on the very top, there was a small cake. I'm the first person in my family to marry someone who's not Jewish. My partner, she's not exactly Christian, but she does come from a Christian background. Throughout history and into the present, there has been a legal separation as well as a stigma for keeping Jews and Christians not in relationships with each other. This is something that has been both imposed on Jews by Christians as well as imposed on Jews by other Jews. In Jewish spaces, our relationship is sometimes called a mixed marriage, or an intermarriage, or a blended marriage. But I like to think of our relationship like a Havdalah candle. For those of you who don't know what a Havdalah candle is, it's a candle made of many smaller candles that are woven, they're braided with each other into one single candle. And this candle is burned at the end of the Sabbath to mark the separation between the holy and the everyday, between the Sabbath and the rest of the week. But the thing about this candle is that it's woven, it's braided, it's intertwined, and it's showing that nothing is actually separate, that everything is intertwined, and we are all intertwined. Okay, listen. I'm going to try to keep it short, but history is neither simple nor is the future. I want to tell you a story about 2 women who became immortalized on the facades of churches in the 13th century. They're called synagoga and ecclesia. Many people, when they see these figures today, they have no idea what they're looking at. They are invisible while being visible. We don't see what we see. But for many historians, what they see is a representation of the institutions of Christianity and Judaism, and the idea that Christianity replaced Judaism as the new thing and dominates it. And that's why synagoga is blindfolded. She's blind to the truth, and she's dropping the 10 Commandments because she's lost her way. But this is just one reading, one dominant interpretation that has become so normalized throughout history that we forget the original story of synagoga and ecclesia. Because what they don't tell you is that synagoga and ecclesia were actually lovers, engaged in a BDSM romance. These queer sapphic daikons made all the priests and nuns jealous with their out and open hot love. Everyone thinks synagoga is weak. She's blindfolded, she's defeated. But what they don't get is that she may be the sub, but she's also a power bottom, setting the terms for how she wants to be dominated and how she wants to be pleased. She spreads her legs while ecclesia kneels down and sings prayers to her lips. The earliest example of synagogue and ecclesia was actually in the written form. It was written as theatrical texts that would be performed as plays out in public. I have one of these texts here. It was originally written in Latin, and I have the translation. It was falsely attributed to Saint Augustine, but thanks to historians, we now know that it was written by a mysterious person who simply went by the name of Redhead Jew Canoe 88. The title of the text is Pubente sudore altercatio inter synagogae e ecclesiae, otherwise known as the juicy, sweaty dispute between synagoga and ecclesia. In order to do justice to this text, I thought that it should be read out loud in the form of a play. So I've invited my friend Catherine here to play the part of Ecclesia. Because reading is what?
It's fundamental.
I will be playing the part of Synagoga, and I hope by the end of this that I'll have you synagogagging for more. I just want to give you a warning before we do our play that this text contains some anti-Semitic things, some anti-Christian things, and language of a sexual nature. So if it makes any of you uncomfortable, please skip ahead to the next part.
Kiss me with the kisses of your mouth, for thy love is better than wine.
Yes, Master. I wish to know in what way I may serve you.
O synagoga, O wretched one, O miserable, murderous Jewish fool, what shall I do with you? I think I know what will be a fitting punishment for my sinful, pathetic synagoga. How about a little eco-sexual fantasy? You will be the field, and I will be the farmer. I will domesticate your wild land.
Yes, Queen Ecclesia. Plow me with your tractor, irrigate my dry landscape, feed among my lilies, climb into my trees and let my breasts be clusters of the vine.
Yes, yes, I will enlarge your garden of cucumbers. Now, spread thy soil and let the Gentiles possess your seed. It tastes just like milk and honey.
Master Ecclesia, do I have permission to ask you a question?
Yes, O foolish one, ask me.
Will you turn my mineral-rich deposits into cash deposits? Will you make my land into a monoculture mega farm? Yes, abuse my nature. And when my land is desired by new settlers, will you sell me out? Please sell me out. Please rip out my plants and pave me with asphalt. Spank my asphalt. You like my hard, hot asphalt, don't you? Don't you? I want you to develop me. Oh, build expensive housing, shopping malls, golf courses, drop balls in my holes, invest in my real estate bubble butt. Oi, speculate on my assets. Ooh, and reap the rewards, you rich bitch.
Okay, stop, shut up. Sorry, this is getting too much.
Sorry, did I go too far?
Yes, a bit. Maybe. We can try something else?
Okay, what about some dirty talking?
Yes, I like that.
Okay, how about I am dirty Brussels and you are a Flemish tourist visiting me?
Okay, that sounds interesting. Let's try. Allez, you are a filthy girl, and you are so smelly. Everywhere you smell like piss, so stinky. Niet normaal.
Oh yes, come and visit my messy streets, step in my garbage piles, ride your folding bike on my broken lanes.
Oh yeah, I'm going deep into your center to eat spaghetti and talk Dutch to your servants even though they don't understand. And then I will look at Molenbeek across from your wet little canal and just imagine what kind of naughty danger awaits me there. But I won't go there, not yet. I like the anticipation of waiting to visit, only after it gentrifies.
Yes, gentrify me, clean me up, bring me Albert Heijn.
You would like that, wouldn't you? You dirty city slut. I'm gonna lick your lack of order, squeeze your 19 communes, caress your busty bureaucratic chaos, your dripping, leaking train stations like the Wild West. Yes, leak on me.
Wait, sorry, I kind of need to pee.
Come on, I was really getting into that. Can't we do one last scene? How about you are a ball of dough and I'm going to make a pizza out of you?
Ooh, sounds nice. Let's try.
All right. My sad, squishy little Jew ball of dough, get ready, because Mama's gonna press you out. You're going to get laid and stretched wide tonight.
Yeah, push me, pull me, lift me, roll me, get me saucy, get me cheesy.
Oh yes, you are almost ready. Just a little topping. And now I'm gonna put you into the hot oven.
Excuse me? No, sorry, we need to stop. This is too triggering for me. Putting me in the hot oven?
Come on, we get it already. You're traumatized. We're all traumatized. Allez. Let's move on. Stop dwelling in the past. You people are so awkward. And what's with all those strange men in Antwerp with their curly sideburns and black furry hats?
And what about you Christians, huh? Don't you think it's weird to drink the blood and eat the body of Christ? Seems a bit cannibalistic to me. But it doesn't really matter because all you Christians are leaving the church anyway. Maybe you'd have more people coming to church if your communion crackers didn't taste so much like cardboard. Try putting a little seasoning on that Jesus biscuit, or at least some topping like baba ganoush or hummus. I mean, maybe put some melted cheese. Everyone likes melted cheeses, Jesus. Make that hostie into a toastie. Then you can boast to me about how the Savior is so savory.
Oh, as if the Jews are so clever with food. All your dishes are just other people's foods with another name. Matzo balls are just a classic German old bread dumpling. And latkes, your famous potato pancakes, they're just rösties in Switzerland and blinis in Lithuania. You Jews are just doing your marketing trickery.
And how about your classic Christmas songs, huh? They're actually all just written by Jews. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Santa baby.
That's just because you serve us.
Wow, you really do put the Dom in Christendom. I like it. Gets me excited when you make fun of my people. Really turns me on. Tell me more about how my people tricked you. How they are weird and evil, scrawny little weaklings, big-nosed, hairy, pathetic wimps.
Yes. And you're secretly controlling all the world's money and the media and also politics and also space lasers for your globalist takeover of the New World Order.
Yes, we are so powerful yet so weak at the same time. These illogical contradictions are making me so wet with holy envy. Oh, yes.
Are you good?
Yes, thanks. That was great. Everything I needed.
Should we go watch some TV, like a series or something?
Nice, but should I keep my blindfold on?
Sure, whatever you like, honey bun. I just want to make sure you're happy. Happy wife, happy life.
Thank you, dear. Shall we watch the new season of The Great British Bake Off?
Sounds divine.
And scene. Come on, look all, what do you see? Come on, look all, we're sorry. The air and sea are frightened, leave and go while moaning. You die, die, die. You die, die, die. I, you die, die. You die, die, die. You die, die, die. I, you die, die. In 1937, my grandfather fled Germany and took a boat to the United States. In order to not have his documents be seized by the authorities, he hollowed out the middle of a sandwich and he hid his documents in there. And while he was on the boat, he got hungry and he decided to go to the cafeteria to get something to eat. And he went to the person working there and he asked him a somewhat peculiar question. He said, "Can I become a watermelon?" And the other person was very confused because what they didn't understand was that my grandfather was having a mistranslation between German and English. Because in German, the word bekommen means to get, as in to get a slice of watermelon. But what my grandfather asked instead was a much more bizarre and interesting question. 30 years later, in 1967, immediately following the Six-Day War, when Israel seized the West Bank and Gaza, Israel instituted a ban on any public presentations of the Palestinian flag. And further, from 1980 until 1993, they banned any artworks that would be made in the four colors of the flag: black, white, green, and red. And that's why, according to the artist Slimane Mansour, the watermelon became used as a covert way to get around this censorship. And that's why today the watermelon still exists as a potent symbol for Palestinian rights and liberation struggles. I made these watermelon here before you out of triangular chunks of trees that were cut, removed, and displaced in order to make the rest of the tree collapse. I placed them here on top of pedestals that are made out of sections of this wall that were cut out, removed, and displaced. In the ongoing displacement and removal of the Palestinian people from their lands, Israel has been systematically cutting down olive trees in the occupied territories of the West Bank. Since 1967, they've cut down almost 1 million trees, including some trees older than 1,000 years old. I learned about these horrific acts from the Palestinian activist Issa Amro and the South African artist Adam Broomberg. In the early spread of Christianity in Western Europe, missionaries and monks systematically cut down the sacred trees of pagans as a way to subjugate them. For example, Saint Martin cut down the sacred trees as well as enthusiastically destroyed their temples, and Saint Boniface famously cut down Donau's oak in Germany. When we cut down trees, we are not just dominating the land, but we're also dominating the people who have a connection to that land. We're cutting their roots that run deep in the soil. It's all the more crazy in the context of Palestine-Israel, because as Jews, we are taught to honor trees. We even have a holiday for the trees called Tu B'Shvat. One of the main activities of early Zionists when they went to the land of Israel was to plant trees. But the trees that they planted overwhelmingly were not indigenous to the land, but were actually European trees. So not only were they colonizing the land with their bodies, but so were their trees. I am not a Zionist, but I was raised in an extremely Zionist American context where I was taught to have an unconditional love and support for the state of Israel. But I wasn't taught anything about Palestinians. I wasn't taught how they were forced out of their homes, unable to ever return. And I wasn't taught anything about Jewish Yiddish concepts like Doigkeit, which translates to here-ness. It says, I don't need to brutally take someone else's home to be at peace, but I can be at home wherever I am. I've only been to the land of Palestine once in my life, when I was 8 years old. We went to Jerusalem to visit the Western Wall, which is often considered the holiest site for Jews. There at the wall, you have a tradition where you write your wishes onto a piece of paper, you fold it up, and you stick it into the cracks of the wall, hoping that it will come true. I thought long and hard, what should I write onto my piece of paper? And I wrote, I wish for world peace. But unfortunately, my handwriting wasn't very good. So the wall must have misunderstood what I wrote. It must have understood what I wrote was, I wish for world pizza. Because based on what's happened in the world since that point, it's the only answer that makes any possible sense. After the genocidal war started, after the horrific attacks on October the 7th, I felt like I wanted to be folded up and put into a hole. And I think that's why I started to carve into my watermelons. I wanted to create space in them so that I could metaphorically go inside of them, so that I could become part of them. Perhaps I wanted to become a watermelon. In that space, I grieve. As we speak, innocent women, men, and children are being killed in Gaza. I cry out as the whole world rests on the tip of a tongue. From your mouths to God's ears, from God's ears to God's tongue, from God's tongue to your lungs. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. When I first moved to Belgium, one of the first things that I learned is that there are people called Flemish who speak Dutch and people called Walloon who speak French. And they have some issues with each other. And a lot of these issues have to do with language. When Belgium was created, French was the dominant language, spoken by the elites and used at institutes of higher education, such as the Catholic University of Leuven. But following protests by students in 1968, they forced the school to switch to only speaking Dutch, effectively kicking out the French-speaking professors and students. These French-speaking teachers and students decided to move to a rural area southeast of Brussels to establish a new city, a place called Louvain-la-Neuve. But what if you don't speak French or Dutch? Or what if you just don't want to deal with this linguistic binary identity crisis? What if there was a place where people could just speak English and get along, a place of new Lovin? Ladies and gentlemen, theys and thems, today I want to present to you a new opportunity for Belgium to create a new city, an extra city, a place called New Lovin! Perhaps you think I'm crazy, but creating a new city is neither ridiculous nor is it impossible. The plan in its essence is entirely simple. We will gather together a diverse group of visionaries to settle into a rural area. We will use the linguistic divisions of the Belgian government as a strategy to gain political autonomy. If it takes only 78,000 people in the east of Belgium to establish a German-speaking government, then we can surely gather more than 100,000 people to settle into New Lovin and create an English-speaking government. Our guiding ideology will be combinationalism, otherwise known as an ingathering of exiles. I am deeply convinced that all nationalism represents only the greatest misfortune for humanity, and it should be the goal of all people to be creating a harmonious humanity, free from ethno-nationalistic oppressions. In New Lovin, we will welcome newcomers, asylum seekers, refugees, and sans-papiers, as long as they adhere to the values of New Lovin. And with this welcoming strategy, we will gain support from political actors in the rest of the country who wish to empty out their overcrowded refugee centers. We will be supported by the far-right xenophobic politicians who wish to rid their cities from migrants and non-whites. We will be an answer for them. And from the left, we will be celebrated as a place for radical, cooperative social experimentation. But New Lovin can't just be a place free from nationalistic horrors. It must also be a place that welcomes those who don't fit economically within our neoliberal capitalistic cities with their rising rents, making life more difficult for everyone, especially those who are lower income, as are many students, artists, working class, and migrants. We are tired from moving from house to house, from temporary atelier to temporary atelier. What is home anymore? Home is where the heart is, where love is. A new heart, a new home, a new lovin'. But where can we make new lovin'? There, we have found the perfect place. In the north of Belgium, there is a place called Noorderkempen. Perhaps some of you know of it. Noorderkempen is situated between Antwerp and Breda in the Netherlands. There you have an international high-speed train station where you have every hour a direct train that goes between Brussels and Amsterdam that stops in both Brussels Airport Zaventem and Schiphol Airport. But the crazy thing about this train station, you're not going to believe this, is that the minute you step outside the station, all there is farmland. Noorderkempen is not even a real place. There is no town or city called Noorderkempen. It's just a term for a vague area in the north of Belgium. Now, there is the town east of the station, separated by the industrial area and the great E19 highway. That's the town of Brecht. But if you go west of the station, it's relatively empty. There's just a few farmhouses and some countryside folk. It's basically a land without people for a people without land. Now, we will need to acquire an area and to clear it out in order to more efficiently use it for the new lovers coming to settle the town. And for that, we will need funds. So we will establish the NLCF, that is the New Lovin Combinationalist Fund. We will make campaigns to attract wealthy idealists, art collectors, philanthropists, and everyday benefactors. With their support, we will be able to begin our project. Now, for those who are currently living there, let's call them the non-new lovers, those countryside folk, we will spirit them away to move discreetly to other places. We will use the annoyance of development, construction sounds, and bright construction lights to motivate them to move along, and they will gladly sell their homes to us and their property and move to places that fit more with their rural tastes. Now, I'm sure there will be critics, I can hear them already. They will say, do you really expect people to move to Noorderkempen? And to that I say, in the 19th century, at the early developments of the trains in Europe, there were those who said, why should we create trains? There won't be any customers. But what they didn't understand, which now seems obvious to us, is that travelers do not produce railways, but conversely, railways do produce travelers. Now, perhaps some of you are saying to yourself, it sounds a little bit like a colony, but I would say it's more like a destination wedding. And it's also a return back to how we used to live before industrialization, when most people in the world lived in rural areas as farmers. So you could say we are simply returning to our collective ancestral homelands. New Lovin will also do wonderful things to improve and inspire the lives of the neighboring communities. It will bring great intellect and culture, improving and benefiting everyone who is in the area. And who can argue with that? But what kinds of things will we have in New Lovin, you ask? We will have all kinds of wonderful things that match with the combinationalist lifestyle. For example, we will have affordable, high-level education at the UCNL. That's the University New Lovin. There we will have courses taught in multiple languages, in English, French, Dutch, German, Esperanto, but of course English will be the main language. We will have multi-faith prayer houses inspired by the Rothko Chapel, where people can come together to share their wisdom traditions with each other. We will have gathering spaces in the center of town, social meeting areas where people can come together and fall in love. Of course, following the combinationalist agenda that puts an emphasis on miscegenation, that is the mixing of ethnicities. We will strongly discourage any relationships of those of the same race, religion, or ethnic background, because only by mixing genetics can we destroy nationalism and old-fashioned segregationist thinking. In New Lovin, we will have wonderful things that will attract people from the neighboring areas. We will have wonderful cultural centers like the New Museum. We'll have comedy clubs, music halls. We'll have exquisite wellness centers with saunas, hammams, hot tubs, wave pools, and emotional roller coasters. We'll also have slides for the children. We will need to establish energy independence, and we will do that through wind, solar, and geothermal sources. We will also develop our city with sustainable architecture built responding to the local ecology. All of our roofs will become public property, where we will have cooperatively run farms funded by the NLCF. And in line with the Beton Stop, we won't build on top of the existing farms, but we will actually build under them. We will dig into the ground to create an inverted city inspired by the Coptic churches of Ethiopia. Now I want you to just imagine what kind of incredible reality we will have, but you don't have to imagine because I've created it for you. But you maybe are wondering, what kind of politics and economy will we have? How will we run our city? Pizza will not just be a delicious snack served in New Lovin, but pizza will also be our guiding political philosophy, otherwise known as pizza politics. Pizza symbolizes collectivity and flexibility. In the words of the chef Ann Kim, if people of difference can come together at one table to share a slice of pizza, then all is good, at least for that moment. That, to me, is the wonderful power of food. Pizza is all about bringing together our ideas to find collective hybrid creations. Pizza is the ultimate integration food because wherever pizza goes, it takes on the local ingredients as toppings. For example, in Korea, you have kimchi pizza. In India, you have tandoori chicken pizza. And for Moroccans, you have merguez pizza. It's all about finding appropriate ways of appropriation. In New Lovin, we will practice direct democracy consensus building in a fluid way, finding the best ideas from our combined knowledge. Now, our economic philosophy will be based on watermelons, and that's why it's called, you guessed it, watermelon economics. Watermelons make people happy, which symbolizes our shift away from gross domestic product towards gross domestic happiness. It's an index that places a greater importance on happiness than economic growth, while still maintaining a practical, functioning society. Excess is more. It's all about abundance. Because with a watermelon, you can never eat it by yourself. You always need to share it. It needs to be redistributed. It makes no sense to hoard a watermelon. In New Lovin, we will practice pre-post-growth eco-socialism. We take a lot of inspiration from donut economics, but the problem with donut economics is donuts are a bit too fatty, and no one really wants to share a donut. Come join me on the other side. New Lovin will surely grow with all those wishing for a joyful, stable life in the future. At first, it may seem to be just a fantasy or a countryside commune, but this is not a utopia. This is a practical plan for a town that can grow into a city, that can grow into a region, that can grow into a combination. This is not the land of milk and honey. This is the land of pizza and watermelon. I do believe that a wondrous generation of new lovers will spring into existence. We shall live at last as free people on our own soil and die peacefully in our own homes. The world will be freed by our liberty, enriched by our wealth, magnified by our greatness, and whatever we attempt to accomplish there for our own welfare shall react powerfully and beneficially for the good of all humanity. It's so glorious. It just makes you want to sing. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. That's amore. When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine, that's amore. That's amore. When the stars start to drool just like pasta vazul, that's amore. That's amore. When you walk down the street with a cloud at your feet, that's amore. That's amore. Are you with me?